For every 10 rand that you earn, you tithe 1 rand, you put aside 2 rand for seed, you put aside 2 rand for investment, which is part of your saving, and you spend 5 rand. Now for all of us, we're sitting here, hey, how in the world is that possible? And no, it's not possible in day one. And it probably, to be honest with you, won't be possible next year. It may even not be possible in 5 years' time. But you know, if we all start living towards that and we make that our goal, I believe it's very possible we could have a majority of people in this church in 10 years' time who live off 50%. And you'll be one of those that if you decide to buy a car, you walk in and the guy's talking to you about financing, you say, look, I'm paying cash.
This is the Active Church. To God be the glory.
Have you ever said this about your money? I just don't know where it all goes. You know, I have all this money and the next thing is like just gone. Right? When we do that, we're in trouble. Or, you know, have you heard people say money talks? But you know, sometimes money sneaks away without talking to you. And then you walk in there and you know, you thought you had a full wallet, man. You had like lots and lots of cash and all you got is like some bills, you know what I'm saying? I got a 20-day note. Wasn't supposed to have that there, but anyway. All you got is some bills, you know, some accounts. People that you owe money to and you can't even pay them. Proverbs chapter 23 verse 23 says, buy the truth and do not sell it. Also wisdom and instruction and understanding. And the message says, buy truth. Don't sell it for love or money. Buy wisdom, buy education, buy insight. In other words, what that's saying is we need to have insight. We need to be knowledgeable about the state of our finances. It is incredibly important that we know whatever we're getting, what are we doing with it? What's happening with that stuff? There's an equation. Because if I don't know what's happening, I'm ignorant of my financial situation. And there's an equation. Ignorance plus easy credit equals trouble. Write that one down. You need to know that for a maths exam next week. Ignorance plus easy credit equals trouble. You know when they phone you, this is Discovery. We're offering you a credit card, 50,000 rand. Yo! Just sign this form and fill it back. And if you've signed this form and you fill it back, we've given you pre-approved credit. Just give us 3 months bank statements. Yo! That's trouble. That's trouble. You tell them, get behind me, Satan. There's 4 facts you must know to be financially free. You need to know what you own. So what do you own? What is yours? For instance, if you have a car but you're paying off a loan, you don't own that car. What do you owe? So what do you own and what do you owe? How much money do you owe? How much debt do you have? If I were to ask you right now, how much money do you owe to people, would you be able to tell me? The third thing that you need to know is what you earn. What do you earn? Obviously, you want to earn more and you want to use what's in your hands and all of that kind of stuff, but what do you earn right now? What's in your hands? And fourthly, where does it go? If you want to be financially free, you need to know where your money goes. And you know what often happens in a marriage is that you have 2 people, they're married, and the one controls the money and keeps the other one in the dark, and there's many money problems and marriage problems that result as a result of that. The issue is both the husband and the wife are responsible to know exactly where the money is going. Because, you know, you won. So if one of you is in debt, but you're both in debt. Even if you sign an ANC, anti-nuptial contract, you know, after you're married, you might have had the anti-nuptial contract, but that's for what you had before you married. After married, If one goes into debt, the other's in debt. Write down all of your info. Write down, what do we spend the money on? What do we earn? What are the balances of all the debt that we owe? Write it down. Keep a log. Start a spreadsheet. Go and buy a piece of software if you have to. In fact, there's free budgeting software. Some people might say, I don't have time to do this. Okay, then don't do it. But then I'm going to give you this advice. Just worry. The funny thing is people don't have time to budget, but they have time to worry. You know, when Chris wants to go buy the quarter, and it's like, there's nothing, then he worries. What am I going to eat? I'm just using it as a joke, Chris. You have time to, you don't have time to budget, but you have time to worry. That's not clever. Habit number two, plan your spending. Also known as budgeting. That's a word many people hate. Budget. But it's an awesome word. Because when you budget, you can start setting financial goals. And you can start planning what you're doing with your money. And what is important is that you start setting financial goals and that you stick to them. You know, first of all, most people don't even set financial goals. Most people don't even start with a budget. But once you've done it, the next step is even tougher. That's actually now to work according to that budget and just to keep your budget accurate in terms of what you spend. In other words, if I look at your budget from last month, can I see what you actually spent versus what you budgeted to spend? And so what I want to really challenge you is, you're going into December now. And they already started this Christmas. What a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Oh, we have to get gifts. Oh, we have to go on holiday. Oh, we have to do this. Oh, we have to do that. And then what happens? We do it, but we haven't got the money. So get a card, get a this, get a that, go into debt, and then buy a whole lot of presents. Walk out the shop, look like rich. You know, I understand what I'm saying. But what happens in January? Well, it helps because, you know, when we ask you to fast, you're going to fast. Because you won't be able to buy food. It will be a forced fast. You understand what I'm saying? It actually won't be a fast. It will actually be more like starvation. Don't just go through the rest now in December, through Christmas and into 2017 and just continue drifting. I think that many of us, we've just been drifting in our finances. Because Proverbs 21 verse 5 says, the plans of the diligent lead surely to plenty, but those of everyone who is hasty surely to poverty. I want you all to look at me and I want to make a statement. And it's one that I absolutely believe in. That's why I'm preaching this sermon, because this I absolutely believe in. Your financial freedom is not determined by how much you earn. It's determined by how you spend what you do earn. A person who's earning 1,000 rand a month can be more free than one who's earning 100,000 rand a month, depending on how it gets spent. I'll never forget the time I went to a session years ago and I was listening to Donald Trump. And he was speaking about the fact, and this was after he'd gone bankrupt in the 80s, and this was the early 2000s, and now he was massively successful again in all of this. And he was speaking about the fact that at this time he declared bankruptcy, and he's walking through the streets of New York with Ivana Trump, who was his wife at the time, and this beggar came and asked him for money. And as they passed the beggar, he said, you know, the funny thing is, that guy's far richer than me. He owns nothing but a few coins, but I'm $100 and something million in debt, and I can't pay it back. And so even though he was Donald Trump, this beggar owned more than him. If you want financial freedom by how you spend your money, then you need to plan. Financial freedom comes not from making more, but spending less. And I want you to note there, if you see there in that verse from Proverbs that says, do not act too quickly, that refers to impulse buying. You know, that's unplanned spending based on emotions. You know, when you look at the adverts on TV, what are those adverts? They play on your emotions and they get you to spend money you weren't planning to spend. And they use this word. There's this one word that they use that gets a lot of people. It's on sale. It's a special. Now, only for now, R9.99. But hurry, because this offer won't last. Wow, I'll go and buy the thing because I saved money, but I wasn't going to spend it in the first place. You know the joke with the blonde who goes out shopping, comes back with all these packets and the husband's freaking out and he says, what have you done? She said, don't complain. All the stuff was on sale. I saved you 1,500 rand. With all the discounts. You understand what I'm saying? No, you haven't saved nothing. You spent a whole lot of money. You understand what I'm saying? Have you ever bought anything without thinking and then regretted it later? When they say sale, say, get behind me, Satan. Proverbs 21 verse 20, the wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. Spending is like any other addiction. And so when you get hooked on spending, you end up deep in debt. How do I break the habit of impulse spending? It's spelled B-U-D-G-E-T, budget. That's swear word, budget. Swear word number 1, submission. Swear word number 2, budget. Budget brings freedom. Budget is planned spending. That's telling your money where to go rather than wondering where it went. And so, how do you control impulse buying? You nip it in the budget. You get it? Nip it in the budget. So there's homework for you. I want you to go home and write a budget before midnight tonight. Number 3, when you budget, one of the things you should budget for is to save for the future. Saving. Tell the person next to you, saving. I think saving is another swear word in South Africa. We like cards, credit cards, but we don't like saving. You understand? Proverbs 21 verse 28. The wise have wealth and luxury, but fools spend whatever they get. You know, there's some stats. In Japan, the average household saves 20% of the income. In Europe, the average household saves 18% of the income. In America, the average household spends 1% more of the income than what they earn. And you know what that's all about? That's all about living for today. That's all about keeping up with the Joneses. Oh, the Joneses, they have a new car, we better get a new car. Oh, the Joneses have a new TV, we better get a new TV. Okay, maybe, yeah, it's the Clubbers or something, or the Funamavers. But keeping up with the Joneses is not going to work. The Bible warns also against any quick, get quick rich scheme. You know these schemes? Put 1,000 rand now, and 10 months later you're going to get 40,000. Wow. Yes, and Susie over there, she did it, and she got 40,000, and then she did it again, and she got 80,000. The Bible says in Proverbs 13 verse 11, wealth from get-rich-quick schemes quickly disappears. Wealth from hard work grows over time. And that's a big challenge right there. You go win the lotto, it's nice, but I'm telling you now, the chances are within 2 to 3 years, you've lost all that money, and you're now in bigger problems because you've got as much money as you had before, but except now you've got a mountain of debt to go with it. So in 2017, and you need to do it now, is to set goals. Set goals for yourself. How much are you going to save? How much are you going to spend? And how much are you going to give? You should have goals for that stuff. It's all part of being disciplined and being faithful with that which God has given, which is what we looked at in the first sermon of the series. It's being faithful. It's being faithful stewards over the money that God has given us. Proverbs 6 verse 6 to 8 says, go to the ant, you sluggard. The sluggard is a lazy person. Consider her ways and be wise. Which, having no captain, overseer, or ruler, provides a surprise in the summer and gathers food in the harvest. In other words, no one tells the ant what to do, but the ant goes, gets food, eats now, but it takes a whole lot of other food and saves it. Why? So that when the winter comes, it's got food. And there's no one there telling the ant, hey, did you save? Hey, did you save? The ant does it itself. You know why we don't save more? One reason is envy. We envy. We're always competing. We want to keep up with the Joneses. We want to keep up with people around us. And envy is something that is never satisfied. It's always craving for more of what other people have. Have you noticed that? But the truth is, when you're competing with your next door neighbors or people around you, most of them are in debt. They got that nice new car, that nice new TV, or that nice new whatever, but they're in debt. They're in debt. They owe the money. And if you want to get out of debt, then you must stop competing and stop comparing yourself with them. I'm telling you, in terms of financial freedom, the greatest enemy you have is when you're comparing yourself. You don't have a bigger enemy than that. You just need to decide, I don't care what others have. I'm going to save for the future instead. Here's another fact. The more you have, I don't know if you realize this, but the more it costs to maintain it. And the more you have, the more it costs to insure it. Sometimes we really complicate our lives with a whole lot of stuff that we don't need. And if we were just to get rid of envy, we could probably live on a lot less than what we're living right now. And if you don't know how to budget and save and all of that kind of stuff, we can organize your help. But what I want to just finish off with, I want to remind you what we've spoken of today. And next week we will continue. And then we're going to pray. And we're going to believe God to set people free. But keep good records. Plan your spending, budget, and save for the future. I don't know if you remember a few years ago, those of you who were in the church at that stage, when I spoke about the Jewish principle. I've spoken about it earlier in this series as well. Where you take, for every 10 rand that you earn, you tithe 1 rand, you put aside 2 rand for seed, you put aside 2 rand for investment, which is part of your saving, and you spend 5 rand. Now for all of us, we're sitting here, hey, how in the world is that possible? And no, it's not possible in day one. And it probably, to be honest with you, won't be possible next year. It may even not be possible in 5 years' time. But you know, if we all start living towards that and we make that our goal, I believe it's very possible we could have a majority of people in this church in 10 years' time who live off 50%. And you'll be one of those that if you decide to buy a car, you walk in and the guy's talking to you about financing, you say, look, I'm paying cash. Man, out comes the coffee, out comes the red carpet. That oak will be polishing your shoes for you. You understand what I'm saying? And that's what I'm really praying for. That's what I'm believing for. That's what I believe in that God wants for South Africa. And I believe with all my heart that if we start getting this right as a nation, our nation will change. Then we'll become like China, buying up everyone else's land around the world. You'll be pulling into New York. I want this block of flats. Where must I sign? Who must I write the check out to? I mean, right now, that's just the pipe dream. I mean, the rand's worth nothing. Our economy is struggling. But you know what? With God, all things are possible.